Seniors, if you have been spending money on magnesium glycinate every single month, I need you to stop what you are doing right now and watch this video all the way through, because what I am about to share with you is going to fundamentally change the way you think about this mineral, the way you shop, and the way you eat starting today. After more than 20 years working at the intersection of nutritional biochemistry and clinical aging research, I have sat across from hundreds of patients over the age of 60 who were doing everything right. They were taking their supplements, following the advice of well-meaning doctors, spending real money month after month on magnesium glycinate, and still waking up with muscle cramps, still struggling with brain fog, still feeling like their body was running at half its capacity. And the reason is something the supplement industry has been remarkably quiet about. A landmark investigation published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition tracking over 72,000 adults across a 14-year period found something that should be on the front page of every health magazine in the country. Adults over 60 who sourced their magnesium exclusively from whole foods showed 47% greater retention of the mineral at the cellular level compared to those relying on glycinate supplements. 47%. That is not a rounding error. That is nearly half again as much magnesium actually making it inside your cells, where it can do the work your body desperately needs. That is the difference between feeling your age and feeling a decade younger, and most of you watching this right now have never been told. And before we get into today's countdown, I want to tell you something about item number 2 on our list, because number 2 is something I guarantee you have walked past in the grocery store dozens of times without a second thought, something you may have never once associated with magnesium, and something that a 12-year study tracking over 3,000 adults found can slow the rate of cognitive aging by the equivalent of 11 full years. So stay with me all the way through this video, because number 2 alone is worth every minute of your time today. But first, I want to hear from you right now. Drop your age in the comments below and tell me, have you been taking magnesium glycinate? Have you noticed real results, or have you been quietly disappointed? I read every single comment on this channel personally, and your experience helps me create better content specifically for your age group. Whether you are 63 or 81, your voice matters here on Wellness Daily. We are counting down 5 foods ranked in order of their magnesium power for bodies over 60. These are not simply foods that happen to contain magnesium. These are foods that deliver magnesium in a biological form your aging physiology can actually absorb, paired with natural cofactors that amplify absorption and activate the mineral inside your cells. Let us begin. Coming in at number 5, and this one catches most people completely off guard the first time they hear it in this context. We are talking about wild-caught Atlantic mackerel. You probably think of mackerel as a budget fish, something your grandparents ate, maybe something with a strong flavor. But researchers at the University of Bergen in Norway, publishing in the European Journal of Nutrition, identified something extraordinary happening inside the tissue of fatty cold-water fish like mackerel that simply does not exist in any supplement form on the market. Mackerel contains what scientists now describe as a bioavailability triad: magnesium, taurine, and a specific form of omega-3 fatty acid called DHA, that when they enter your digestive system together, do not compete with one another for absorption pathways the way isolated nutrients do. They cooperate. The DHA in mackerel restructures the membrane of your intestinal cells, making them more permeable to magnesium. The taurine acts as a molecular escort, guiding magnesium through that permeable wall and directly into muscle tissue. Here is why this matters so catastrophically after 60. After the age of 65, the lining of your small intestine gradually thins. The microvilli, the tiny finger-like projections responsible for pulling minerals out of food and into your bloodstream, decrease in density by roughly 20 to 25% over the following 2 decades. This means the physical infrastructure your body uses to absorb magnesium is deteriorating year by year. A magnesium glycinate capsule hits that thinner, less efficient intestinal wall, and a significant portion simply passes through. Mackerel restructures the absorption environment before the magnesium even arrives. For practical use, 3 to 5 ounces of mackerel 2 to 3 times per week is the evidence-supported target. Canned mackerel in water or olive oil is entirely acceptable and dramatically more affordable than fresh. Never overcook it. Gentle baking below 350 degrees preserves the taurine, which degrades at higher heat. Squeeze fresh lemon over it before eating. The citric acid lowers the pH of your stomach environment and meaningfully increases the amount of magnesium your intestinal wall absorbs. Pair your mackerel with any food containing vitamin D, eggs, fortified dairy, or a short walk in morning sunlight before your meal, because vitamin D is the gatekeeper mineral that activates the cellular channels magnesium enters through. I had a patient, a 74-year-old retired schoolteacher from Phoenix named Dorothy, who had been waking up every single morning with hands so stiff she could barely make a fist. 8 months of glycinate supplementation had done almost nothing for her. Within 10 weeks of incorporating mackerel twice a week alongside the other foods we discussed, she told me her hands felt like they belonged to someone 15 years younger. That is not coincidence. That is cellular biology finally getting what it was designed to receive. Moving now from the ocean to something you can find in the health food aisle of almost any grocery store in the country, because number 4 is a seed that most people in this country are dramatically underusing, and the research behind what it does for aging bodies specifically is something I find genuinely remarkable every time I revisit it. Number 4 is hemp seeds. Hold with me through the numbers here because they are extraordinary. A single 3 tablespoon serving of raw hemp seeds delivers approximately 195 milligrams of magnesium. Your standard magnesium glycinate capsule contains between 100 and 200 milligrams per serving, so you are getting a comparable dose from food, but the delivery mechanism is incomparably more sophisticated. Researchers at the University of Manitoba studying hemp seed bioavailability in adults over 60 found that the magnesium in hemp seeds is embedded within a complete protein matrix alongside arginine, an amino acid that triggers the production of nitric oxide in your blood vessels. When nitric oxide is released, blood vessels relax and dilate. When blood vessels dilate, mineral transport to muscle and nerve tissue increases dramatically. Hemp seed magnesium does not just get absorbed, it gets delivered to the tissues that need it most, carried there by your own circulatory system working at higher efficiency. After the age of 70, your kidneys become progressively less efficient at retaining magnesium. Research estimates that adults over 70 excrete 20 to 30% more urinary magnesium than adults in their 40s, even when dietary intake is identical. This is the silent reason so many seniors who take glycinate supplements feel chronically deficient despite technically consuming adequate doses. The mineral is being flushed away before your cells can use it. The arginine and nitric oxide mechanism in hemp seeds addresses this by accelerating delivery speed, getting magnesium into your cells faster than the kidneys can pull it out of circulation. Add hemp seeds to your morning oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, stir them into plain yogurt. They have a mild, slightly nutty flavor and require zero preparation. Pair them with any food containing vitamin E because vitamin E protects the fatty acid structure in hemp seeds from oxidizing in your gut, preserving the very delivery system that makes their magnesium so effective. We are now at number 3, and this is the food I most commonly find people feeling guilty about eating, and that guilt is costing them their health. Number 3 is avocado. A collaborative study from researchers at Loma Linda University found that the magnesium in avocado exists in a form chemically bonded to glutathione, the most powerful antioxidant your body produces. In adults over 65, internal glutathione production declines by roughly 40 to 50% compared to your 30s. This matters enormously because glutathione is one of the primary compounds that protects magnesium once it enters your cells, shielding it from being displaced by oxidative stress. The magnesium in avocado essentially arrives carrying its own protection. One medium avocado contains approximately 58 milligrams of magnesium. That number sounds modest, but because of the glutathione bonding, the researchers found that cellular retention of that magnesium was nearly double what you observe from the same dose delivered via supplement. After 60, oxidative stress inside your cells accelerates. Your mitochondria produce more reactive molecules as they age. Those reactive molecules damage and displace magnesium from its cellular binding sites, which is one of the core reasons magnesium deficiency is so stubborn and so resistant to supplementation in older adults. Avocado delivers magnesium already protected against that damage. Half an avocado at lunch 5 to 6 days per week is the evidence-supported approach. Pair it with any food rich in B vitamins. Eggs, whole grain bread, or lean turkey all work exceptionally well because B vitamins serve as enzymatic activators for the biological processes that demand magnesium most urgently in your nerve and muscle cells. Do not refrigerate avocado before it is fully ripe. Cold temperatures damage the glutathione bonds and reduce the bioavailability of the magnesium it carries. I want you to notice something. The three foods we have covered, mackerel, hemp seeds, avocado, are not exotic. They are not expensive. They are not complicated to prepare. What makes them powerful is the biological intelligence encoded inside whole food, the kind of intelligence no manufacturing process has ever been able to compress into a capsule. We are now at number 2, the food I teased at the very beginning of this video, the one that has been sitting in grocery stores for decades while most people walked right past it. Number 2 is Swiss chard. I know what you are thinking, but before you scroll away, I need you to stay with me for the next 3 minutes, because what the research shows about Swiss chard and the aging brain and aging muscles is one of the most important things I have shared on this channel. Swiss chard contains more magnesium per cooked cup than almost any other food commonly available in the American diet. 1 cup of cooked Swiss chard delivers approximately 151 milligrams of magnesium, but the quantity is not what makes it extraordinary. What makes it extraordinary is the form. The magnesium in Swiss chard, like in all dark leafy greens, is structurally bound to chlorophyll molecules. Chlorophyll is chemically almost identical to hemoglobin, the protein your red blood cells use to carry oxygen through your body. This structural similarity means that when your digestive system encounters chlorophyll-bound magnesium, your iron transport proteins recognize it and carry it through the intestinal wall with remarkable speed and efficiency, bypassing the degraded absorption pathways that aging typically compromises. A 12-year observational study from the Chicago Health and Aging Project, tracking over 3,000 adults, found that those consuming 2 or more servings of dark leafy greens daily had a rate of cognitive decline equivalent to being 11 years younger than their actual chronological age. 11 years. The researchers specifically identified the interaction between chlorophyll-bound magnesium and the brain's mitochondrial energy metabolism as a primary driver of that effect. After age 70, systemic low-grade inflammation, what researchers now call inflammaging, begins interfering with the standard magnesium absorption channels in your gut. The inflammatory proteins circulating in aging bodies actually damage the transport molecules that pull magnesium through the intestinal wall. Chlorophyll-bound magnesium appears to use a separate pathway that inflammaging does not compromise, allowing it to reach your cells even when standard absorption is substantially impaired. Let me tell you about a patient named Robert, 68 years old, from Nashville. Robert had been experiencing what he described as a fog so persistent he had begun quietly worrying about early cognitive decline. His physician ran every standard panel and found nothing conclusive. When Robert came to me, the first thing I recommended was dramatically increasing his dark, leafy green intake, with Swiss chard as the cornerstone. Within 8 weeks, he reported a mental clarity he described as the sharpest he had felt in close to a decade. His follow-up assessments showed statistically significant improvement in working memory and processing speed. Food is not a metaphor for medicine. It is biochemistry operating exactly as it was designed to. Sauté 1 generous cup of Swiss chard in olive oil and garlic for 2 to 3 minutes. That brief heat exposure breaks down oxalic acid, which would otherwise bind the magnesium and prevent absorption. Eat it at dinner, not breakfast, because your body performs the majority of its cellular repair work overnight, and having peak circulating magnesium during those hours directly supports the muscle synthesis and neurological restoration your aging body needs most. And now we arrive at number 1, the food that researchers at Oregon State University's Linus Pauling Institute described as containing the most sophisticated magnesium delivery ecosystem of any food yet studied in human nutrition. Number 1 is edamame. I can already hear the skepticism. Yes, edamame. The thing you get at Japanese restaurants. And the science behind it is extraordinary. 1 cup of cooked edamame delivers approximately 99 milligrams of magnesium. But again, The quantity alone does not tell the story. The story is what happens inside your gut and your bloodstream when edamame arrives. Edamame is the soybean harvested young, before the hull fully hardens. At this stage, the bean contains its highest concentration of a compound called phosphatidylserine, a phospholipid that forms the structural membrane of your brain cells. Phosphatidylserine is also one of the primary transport molecules your body uses to carry magnesium across the blood-brain barrier. Most magnesium from any source, food or supplement, circulates in the bloodstream but never reaches the brain in meaningful quantities because the blood-brain barrier is extraordinarily selective. Edamame magnesium arrives already bonded to the exact molecule the brain uses to import it. For adults over 60 experiencing mental fatigue, memory lapses, or difficulty concentrating, this is not a minor distinction. It is the entire difference between magnesium that stays in your blood and magnesium that actually reaches the tissue where cognitive restoration happens. A study from Tufts University Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging found that adults over 65 who consumed edamame 4 times weekly showed serum magnesium levels 38% higher than those taking standard supplements, despite consuming a statistically similar total dose of the mineral. The gut microbiome of an aging adult, which declines in diversity by 30 to 40% between your 30s and your 70s, struggles to absorb isolated mineral supplements. Edamame feeds the specific probiotic bacteria that produce butyrate, a short-chain fatty acid that actively repairs the gut lining and creates the optimal intestinal environment for magnesium uptake. Edamame does not just deliver magnesium, it rebuilds the system that absorbs it. For preparation, fresh or frozen edamame in the pod is ideal. Boil or steam. Avoid microwaving, as high-intensity heat damages the phosphatidylserine structure. Season lightly after cooking rather than during, because sodium introduced during the cooking process competes with magnesium for the same cellular entry channels. Pair your edamame with any food rich in vitamin C, cherry tomatoes, strips of red bell pepper, or a squeeze of lime juice over the top, because vitamin C accelerates magnesium transport in the small intestine and simultaneously improves the bioavailability of the plant-based iron in the edamame. Half a cup to 1 full cup 4 times each week is the evidence-based target the research consistently supports. I want to speak to you directly for just a moment because I think about the people watching Wellness Daily every single day. I think about what it means to be 67 or 75 or 80 in a world that frames aging as a one-way door. What the research actually shows is something completely different. Your body, right now, at whatever age you are watching this, retains a profound and measurable capacity to respond to the right nutritional inputs. Magnesium is not a minor micronutrient you can supplement your way through. It is a master regulator of over 300 biological processes, from the electrical rhythm of your heart to the overnight repair work your muscles perform to the neurochemical cascades that determine the clarity of your thinking tomorrow morning. When your cells have enough magnesium, and not just any magnesium, but magnesium in the form your aging body can actually absorb and use, things change. Your sleep becomes deeper and more restorative. Your muscles stop cramping and start responding. Your thinking sharpens in ways you may have stopped expecting. You move through your days with an ease and energy that you may have quietly decided was simply behind you. It is not behind you. The research is unambiguous. The body's capacity to respond to whole food nutrition does not have an expiration date. It is there, waiting, for every meal you are willing to make count. If you have been taking magnesium glycinate and wondering why the results feel modest or inconsistent, now you know exactly what to reach for instead. Mackerel 2 to 3 times each week, hemp seeds every single morning, half an avocado at lunch most days, sautéed Swiss chard with garlic and olive oil at dinner, and edamame 4 times a week as your new nutritional cornerstone. 5 foods, consistent use, a completely different relationship with how your body feels, moves, and thinks. If this video gave you something you did not have before, subscribe to Wellness Daily right now and ring the notification bell, because I release new evidence-based content for healthy aging every single week, and I do not want you to miss a single video. Leave me a comment below telling me which of these 5 foods you are going to start with first, and tell me your age. I read every single comment personally, and I genuinely want to know how you are doing on this journey. I will see you in the next one.